어떤 색 그릇에 담느냐에 따라 음식 맛이 달라진다는 사실 알고 계셨나요? 일의 능률을 높이는 소리도 있고요. 치과 치료의 두려움을 낮추는 향기도 있답니다. 감각이 얼마나 중요한지 밝혀내고 일상에서 활용하는 법을 제시하는 과학자 찰스 스펜스. 잠들어 있는 감각을 깨워 더 나은 일상을 만드는 비법을 지금 공개합니다.
Welcome to EBS with a hand swap. My name is Professor Charles Spence, an experimental psychologist and professor at the University of Oxford. Food and drink, after all, are amongst life's most multisensory of pleasures. They engage our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, our skin, maybe even the sense of pain when we think about the burn of a chili pepper. So flavour experiences are life's most multisensory and often for many of us, some of life's most enjoyable experiences. And all of us, whoever we are, whether we're professional chefs or just home cooks or consumers, think we can taste what's in the glass or on the plate. That the flavour experience we have can be dictated by the chemical composition of the food and drink itself. And yet I think there's a lot more going on, that the pleasures of the table really reside in the mind as much as they do in the mouth. And the emerging science of gastrophysics is starting to help chefs, food companies, but also people at home to deliver tastier, healthier, more memorable, sustainable food experiences wherever we happen to be and whoever we happen to be preparing food for. But to get to that, I first want to put before you a paradox, the Provençal rosé paradox. And this is the name given by philosophers and psychologists to the sort of anecdotal finding, observation that we have that when we're on holiday, for us Northern Europeans, that might well be in the south of France. We have a glass of Provençal rosé wine, and before us, the sun beating down on our back, the sound of the seagulls, the smell of the salty sea air. We're with our family, and that wine can taste like the best wine you've ever had. So good, in fact, and so cheap sometimes, that you're tempted to bring a bottle back home or even a case, buy it up there in the Mediterranean. But when we taste that same wine back at home, it never tastes quite the same. It's lost something, it's disappointing somehow. So what's going on there? Why is it that the wine tastes so much better when we're on holiday in the Mediterranean? I think it's partly about the mood we're in, because food never tastes good if you're fighting with your partner or your family. Put people in a better mood and food tastes better. And if we're on holiday, we're probably relaxed in the summertime, and hence that better mood does partly explain why the wine tastes better to us in the Mediterranean. But it's also partly, I think, about the atmosphere. We all think we taste what's in the glass or on the plate, but in fact our brain is always picking up the sights, the sounds, the smells of the atmosphere, the context of the environment, and integrating those cues into our experience of what we think we taste in our mouth. And both of those elements, the kind of context or atmosphere and the mood, have been captured by some innovative chefs out there in order to help them to deliver more enjoyable multi-sensory tasting experiences. I start with Denis Martin, a 2 Michelin star chef in Vevey in Switzerland. 2 Michelin stars, he wants his third. He's sort of smoke and mirrors, molecular modernist. But he's also seasonal, local and authentic. And he creates this great food in his restaurant. But as he puts it, he's seen too many suits on accounts, buttoned up stiff, formal businessmen and women who, when they come into his restaurant looking like that, sort of frowning and severe, he realises they just won't enjoy his food as much as he thinks they should. Partly explained perhaps by the fact that his restaurant is next door to Nestle headquarters, so he gets a lot of these suits in who aren't really paying for dinner and certainly aren't relaxed. His solution is wonderfully simple. It's what I think may be the world's first mental palate cleanser. When everyone goes to the restaurant, there's nothing on the tables. It's a single sitting of about 30 covers, white tablecloth, and there's just a plastic cow in the middle of each and every table. And some people get there a bit early, some people get there a few minutes late. And once everyone's arrived, people start looking around thinking, well, sure, it must be about time for dinner now, we're all here. And yet, no food will be served until the first curious diner picks up that cow in the middle of the table, thinking, I wonder what it is. Is it a salt and pepper shaker, Swiss style? Which is it? And as they pick it up and tilt it to see underneath, then they will hear the sound of the moo of the mooing cow, which hopefully you can hear now. And they sort of laugh in surprise. This is not at all what they expect to find in a very fancy 2 Michelin star Swiss restaurant. It is a mental palate cleanser that night after night will lead the tables of diners to laugh in surprise. You've elevated the diner's mood, and by elevating the mood, you can make the food taste better. And that's the point at which the first dish comes out. And we've done a lot of work with other leading chefs, such as Ferran Adria's Alicia Foundation in Spain, another world's top chef, serving a pink ice cream like this one. And in this case, it really was a strawberry ice cream. But to the 60 or 70 diners we served in the Alicia Foundation, half of them first tasted the ice cream on a white plate, the other half first tasted it on a black plate, and then we switched over. People had to rate how flavourful the ice cream was, how much they liked it, how sweet. And amazingly, even though you cannot taste the plate on which food is served, the colour of the plate can change the taste of what you do eat, such that the ice cream served on the white round plate was rated about 9% more flavourful, 13% more liked, around 11% sweeter than exactly the same food, eaten by exactly the same people, when served from a black plate instead. So 10% sweetness without any calories, who wouldn't want that? And it's all part of the new approach to dining that goes beyond the food itself, thinks about the plates, the plateware, the environment, the context, and everything else, how to optimally engage all of the senses. Sleep, of course, and eating well being two of the two key factors that are going to help patients to improve. And here we're putting them in the environments that are designed to prevent them doing the things that would most naturally restorative to them. But as I said, there are some innovative people out there thinking about how to design healthcare spaces to sound different, trying to replace the noise of the machines and the alarms and the alerts and the hard, reflective but easy to clean surfaces with music instead. And this built on now probably several hundred published peer-reviewed studies demonstrating that music can be used to help calm and relax agitated patients. And there are even some studies to suggest that patients can reduce the amount of painkillers they need to take simply by having the ability to listen to music that they like during recovery. But what about smell? We looked at a bit about sound. Smell's an interesting one for me because many healthcare situations have a smell, maybe of disinfectant, maybe of medicine, or think only of the dentist. An experience that again might put fear into any of us, from the sound of the drills and the machinery through to the smell of eugenol, that kind of clove-like odour that's associated with fillings. And there have been a number of studies now to show that exposure to the smell of healthcare, or the smells we associate with healthcare, like the eugenol of the cloves, leads people to be more anxious, their heart rate to go up, to become more stressed, and hence for treatments to hurt more and for recovery to be slower. Think only here too also of how the smells of sweetness, smells like strawberry, can also help people to lower their pain. This demonstrated from studies where students are put their hand in an ice bath, and you could start the stopwatch to see how long they can stay there before they have to take their hands out because of the pain of the cold of the ice on their skin. If you give them the smell of something sweet like strawberry or caramel, then it turns out that that sweet scent can actually reduce the pain and allow people to keep their hands in the water for significantly longer. Now I want to return now to thinking about one of the other senses in healthcare, and that has to be related to the food. And this is an area I'm sort of passionate about because we need to eat well to live well, we need to eat well to recover. And yet the statistics show, from the UK, for example, that about 60% of all hospital meals are returned to the kitchens untouched. Not unfinished, just simply untouched in the first place. Really sort of horrible food that may be nutritionally balanced, but if it doesn't look right, if it doesn't have the right name, if it's not served in the right context with the right company, it is not enjoyable. Patients do not eat and hence take longer to recover than otherwise they might. That's kind of compounded by the fact that in these places, hospitals, where you would think the design should be perfected to improve our health, you won't find much fresh fruit and vegetable being sold. Instead, all the vending machines are full of sugary drinks, of chocolates. All of the outlets from the food chains are, again, sort of unhealthy, highly processed and energy-dense foods. But I think the solutions in this space are going to need to go beyond just the food itself. Think about that total experience. For example, think about the plates that we saw earlier. Remember I said that a white plate could make food taste sweeter. Well, in the context of elderly patients, many of whom struggle to see, have visual difficulties, and in hospitals where much of the food, at least in England, is made of white, creamy sauces, mashed potatoes, putting a white food on a white plate makes it really hard to see. And there have been a number of studies, including one from the patients currently in an English hospital, showing that simply by putting that pale food on a blue plate rather than on a traditional white plate led to the patients eating a third more without doing anything to the actual ingredients themselves. Another example of where sense hacking might help to improve the patient's experience. And that could build on the older literature looking at the impact of colour on medications itself, where we find that a relaxing pill should perhaps be purple in colour, that a stimulant pill should have a different colour, and that something that looks bright red, like a red Smartie, can in fact work very well as a placebo medicine because the colour convinces patients of its efficacy. So sensory design in the food, in the medicine, or in the plateware, in the context in which that material is presented.